Welcome back to Northwind Aerial. Today we've got 3 really cool use case scenarios for drones in search and rescue that are a little more unique than the stuff we usually cover, which is going out and actively flying your drone, trying to find a missing person. Let's get to our first story, which comes out of New Hampshire, just a couple weeks ago. In this story, the guy uses drones to map out an entire area and then search through them to find bones. That's something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm constantly talking about using drones for mapping. I've got multiple different videos on it. I'm definitely planning on continuing the Finding Bones with Drones video at some point when I get around to it and I'm not so busy. But in this case, this guy stole my thunder by finding bones with his drone.
It's a terrible thing to think about your loved one you don't know where they are and what's happened to them.
Jenness Keller is a New Hampshire drone pilot who turned a hobby into a way to help with complicated search missions.
This story comes from New Hampshire and specifically the New Hampshire Union Leader, and the story was published on March 25th, 2025. Hudson drone operator hopes dairy discovery brings closure to family of missing woman. Jenness Keller of Hudson, owner of SkyDog Aerial Thermal Imaging, is our hero in this story. He had used drones before to help map dozens of acres where Grazewski might be, but this time they gave him a specific task: look into water near the Hoodcroft Country Club's golf course. Jenness Keller of Hudson used his high-tech drones to map and create images that led to the first substantial tip into 2020 disappearance of a woman in Derry. Each numbered point in this image was a point of interest. Keller's tip led to the discovery of human remains near Hoodcroft Country Club in Derry on Thursday. Flying out an area and capturing that snapshot in time is a great tool and technique that we have with drone search and rescue. It's a really great forensic tool that I keep telling people you should incorporate. It costs next to nothing for us to go out, map out an area, and then you have however many hundreds or thousands, if need be, 4K resolution photos with which to go through with your eyes, go through with imaging software such as Nova or the automated drone image analysis tool from SAR, and narrow down that whole search area by finding points of interest, which is just what this guy did. A couple of days later, based on a tip from the Keller and Derry police, the New Hampshire State Police Major Crimes Unit and Fish and Game officers found human remains Thursday in one of the areas of interest he pointed out. Keller mapped out the area and ended up with around 1,000 images. By combining the high-resolution images into an orthomosaic, the result is pictures that are accurate within a half inch. On Sunday night, Keller and his wife found 6 points of interest, and after zooming in, it looked like there was a body in one of the pictures.
Keller examined the images and found 6 points of interest.
The last point of interest was the most interesting one. That was 4 feet long, and it could barely make out 2 legs and an arm and a torso.
He went and flew to different spots, and there was one that looked like a person lying on their side with their legs bent slightly and a right arm bent into silt and sediment. He then shared those images with the Derry police. So he went and flew to those different spots and zoomed in. That's exactly what I would have done if I were in this scenario. Go out, map that area, take those photos back home, run them through an image analysis software, and then also go through and look at any of the images to see if anything pops out to your eyes. The state's chief medical examiner's office and forensic anthropologists have not confirmed the identity of remains, a process that could take several months, but Keller said he was happy to be involved in what could potentially provide closure for Grazewski's loved ones. That's what we do in drone search and rescue, or search and rescue as a whole. Obviously, we're trying to find missing people, but we're also trying to return remains home to their family members so that they can have that closure that they need. This case has been going on for over 5 years, and really hoping these are the remains they're looking for. Haven't seen in this updated article whether they've confirmed the remains or not. This right here is probably one of my favorite stories of drone search and rescue tactics and tips and everything that I've ever read. This is exactly what we are all about. I just gotta say, awesome job by Jenness Keller of SkyDog Aerial Thermal Imaging. Great freaking job, dude. Our next story comes from Weber County in Utah, where a search and rescue team was activated for a vehicle into the water that was down a pretty steep embankment. If you've ever been involved in a water rescue before, the dive team has a ton of gear in order to do their job safely and properly. Love working with our dive boys. This is the first time that I've personally seen the DJI Flycart 30 used on a search and rescue mission. I'm sure it's happened many times, but it's the first time I was alerted to it, and I first came across this story in the UAS for Public Safety Facebook group, which, if you're a first responder that works with drones, I highly recommend you join. We have great conversation in there, great stories, great time in general being able to share stuff like this. It's a great way to get alerted of certain tactics and stories that you might not have known about otherwise. Weber County Search and Rescue was called out on April 6th, 2025 at approximately 20:30 hours for a vehicle that had gone into the Pineview River. There were no injuries to report during this incident. Their team used a DJI Flycart 30 to transport heavy gear up and down the cliff to the dive team to assist them in doing what they do best. This is a perfect way to use the Flycart 30. Looking at this photo right here, you can see just how steep that area is. Being able to simply hook that up to the Flycart 30 winch, bring it over, drop it down to their guys like that, that's just a perfect example of how drones can be used in search and rescue without just flying around and looking. To be fully clear, I am very jealous. Flycart 30 is on my short list of drones that are my dream drones that I would love to get for the farm, use for the fire department, use for search and rescue. There's all sorts of different things I could use it for. I just can't justify the price tag just yet. Maybe soon, when YouTube starts giving me some of that moolah. We'll see. Maybe. That would be cool. That one's more of a quick one than the first one, but I just got to give Weber County Search and Rescue a round of applause. Great thinking, great use of drones in search and rescue. Let's get to our third and last story. This story comes from us from the Mohave County Search and Rescue in Arizona. Mohave spelled with an H, not a J. They used a drone in some of their swiftwater techniques to lay a rescue line across swift water.
Yeah, one more. There we go. It's in the water, it's in the water.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, more slack, more slack. Alright, slack, yeah.
This is a really cool tactic that I've always thought drones would be perfect for. You can fly the drone over water way further than you can throw a rescue bag and way faster than you can get a boat into water. This is something I've really wanted to train on for quite some time. I just don't quite have the courage to fly a drone all the way over water yet while also carrying cargo. So good on them for having the cojones to try this. When it comes to water rescues, time is of the essence. You have people treading water that at any moment could go under the surface and never be seen again, or unfortunately be recovered later as remains. So being able to deploy out there with your drone team and see someone who's out there struggling in the water, fly a rescue line out to them, fly a life jacket out to them, fly a life preserver if you've got a big enough drone, is something I've always thought would be a great idea. So it's awesome to see Mohave County putting that to use. Good job, y'all. Those are the 3 stories I had for you today from the world of drone search and rescue. I hope you enjoyed them. If you have any more stories recently showcasing drones like this and really big wins, send them to me. This is a great way of showing the public that drones aren't just tiny flying cameras. They are heavy transport. They are light transport over water with ropes, and they are mapping tools that can help solve 5-year-old cases. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.